Mm.
So, hey, Anne, I'm so happy you're here. I need
Thank you.
everybody. I'm here with my incredible client, Anne, and I'm really happy you're doing this because Anne promised me that she was able to share something about how it is to be in my world, how to do, for instance, setting up for success with me, which she's done some time ago, and now she's in Thriving Across Borders. And she's going to talk about how it was for her, what it meant, and well, let me stop talking and end.
Okay.
What was
Um, I think that the biggest thing that I have found in doing this process is how it's made me look at myself and really drill down and look at what motivates me, and also the things that are really holding me back that actually I've created in my own head. And I think we all do this over years and years and years and years of, work and family and all sorts of different influences, and unpicking this. And it's not it's not traumatic. It's a really nice experience, but just getting to understand, oh, I do that because of this, and if I change this, this is going to have a different result. And it's really powerful. It's simple, but it's really powerful. When I say it's simple, obviously it's not. You need somebody like Else, and Else is just so good at this, to actually be guiding you through this mess that is, well, mess that is my head, and helping you to navigate your way across sort of your mental stepping stones to actually reach those goals. And for me, I found that I've actually, it's probably going to sound like an odd thing, I've come out of it liking myself more, giving myself a little bit more credit for the things I've done, not ignoring the things that perhaps I shouldn't have done in the past, but just sort of being a little bit kinder, not putting such ridiculously high expectations on myself, and indeed not transferring those onto other people because I've set myself such high goals. That has been really helpful, making sure that my goals are really properly aligned with what my values are, and the things that really matter to me. And that's been a really helpful and powerful thing. And I honestly, I can't recommend the process enough. Else really knows what she's doing. She's an absolute delight to work with. She's totally non-judgmental, and I think that the reason it works is trust. I totally trust her. And yeah, and we're getting good results. We're not finished yet. I am a work in progress, but yeah, that's how I found the course, and where I'm at the moment. So thank you, Else. And if you're thinking about doing this journey, I don't say just seize the opportunity if it comes your way, because I think you'll really find it's very rewarding, and also personally on a personal development level, it really does give you tools that will help you on your journey to succeed in whatever your goal is.
Yes, thanks for all the compliments, and that's really kind. But also, what stuck with me was one sentence that you said is like really getting aligned with what you want and what you do, what you're good at. Because I remember we had this conversation about what you expected to be your values and what your real values turned out
Mm,
to be.
mm.
Remember this?
Yeah, absolutely.
You were saying,
Absolutely.
yeah, you found out your real values were things like humor and gratitude
Yeah,
and
yeah,
appreciation and love.
yeah, yeah.
In advance, you thought about total different things like forgiveness and
Mm,
perseverance, which
yeah.
are all,
Kindness.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was true. And then when I started to sort of put this idea out there and say, well, the thing that came out strongest for me was humor. The amount of people that said, well, yeah, that's how you communicate. That's exactly, when you're explaining something, you make it funny. When you're getting somebody to do something, you make it funny. And I'd never seen it. It just,
because it's so normal to you. You need
yeah,
other
yeah.
people to see it for you and to show you that you do it. And
Mm,
that's a cool thing. And like you said, we're still in the midst of it. So we're not
mm.
even at the end, but already you've achieved quite a few things of what you wanted. Can you list or say something about that?
Yeah, I think I have, and well, stop beating myself up, which is a really powerful thing. I've reevaluated what my life goals are and where I need to get to. I obviously completely have a different job path to the one that I thought I was going to be on, and it all feels much more right and natural and energizing rather than oh God, I've got to be doing X, Y, and Z. So it's made a massive difference, particularly um, going after things that I hadn't considered to be really important to me, previously, and looking at the roles, looking at roles and just sort of saying, right, okay, I can do that, I can be really successful at that. But oh, this one over here, I can nurture, I can bring on, I can do these things that are actually really important to me. So yeah, it's that recognition has been really powerful.
Yeah, and there was one more thing that you said that really stuck with me. And that was, I think, a couple of weeks ago, you said, like, what I do for a living does not define me anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
That sense of freedom is
Yeah,
rare.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think anybody that has a professional label to them for most of their lives, they will be that label and then they retire and it's like, well, what am I? And that can be that doesn't have to be like that could just be I don't know, you could be a wife, you can be a housewife, you could be an accountant or a lawyer or whatever. You don't have to define yourself by that one word, and it's very very freeing. I'm Anne, I'm me, and that's it. That this is what you get, and whatever I happen to be doing at the time, I happen to be doing. Hopefully, it'll be paying me, and I will be able to do all
And
the other things I like to do. But nonetheless,
money is important too. And
it is.
I always think we should be paid for what we're worth.
Yeah,
And it's so much
yeah.
easier to, for instance, ask for a salary if you're doing the work that you're meant to do because you feel so much aligned. You're not questioning yourself so much. So you are
Mm.
far more able to ask for better salary or better payment. Or have you experienced that too?
Yeah, I think when you look at things like salary negotiations, you might get told there's a particular band. If you go for a job, there may be a particular band. They never tell you what the salary is in the UK. It's pretty. I think the legislation's changed in the US, but we are a long way behind. And in the Netherlands, the same. Understanding that you have value and you have, if somebody's talking to you and they're prepared to offer you a job, they've seen that value. They know that, bringing you in is going to work for them. So, hang out for what you're worth and do your research. Because I know I was bumbling along a certain level, sort of rate. And actually one of my cohort on the course when they said to me, hang on a minute, and you're underpricing yourself by X, you need to be going out and doing this. So I did, and it worked. And it just shows you it is that belief, actually what I'm bringing to you is worth its weight. And that was a massive realization, and over the last sort of 6 months or so has made a tremendous difference to me. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like a mind shift that
Mm.
you need. This is the great thing that we're in a group coaching calls, and it's not me sending and you receiving. It's all of us together.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yes, extremely.
Yeah, and here was one finance director who said, "Who told you what you were worth?" So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
he was able.
But we're conditioned not to see that, and I think there's that whole invisible overtime, and oh, this needs doing. Give it to Anne, or she'll do it. Understanding that is actually you are giving away your time, you are giving away your experience, and etc. And realizing that, and then saying, hang on a minute, is that has been very liberating, shall we say. So yeah.
Yeah, because they're not just paying you by the hour, but they're paying all the experience that you've got.
Exactly, it's the 20 odd years behind you that they're getting for that
Exactly.
hour. Yeah.
Um, I think it'd be nice to hear from you if you could explain what was the difference from before you joined for the very first time. Remember when you
Mm.
were setting up for success with me for the first time, what you were struggling with and what the result was.
Gosh, that's a really good question. It's kind of difficult because it seems like a lifetime and a different person ago. Um, I think
Uh,
I'd come when I first started. I've been pretty battered by the workplace, and I think it was you know that you can do your job and your worth to yourself. You know that you what you're doing gives value, but the sort of confidence to stretch yourself, the understanding that different things drive you gets rid of that sort of not looking forward to going to work on a Monday morning kind of feeling, that you go and do it, you get paid, you can do a few things that you enjoy doing at the weekend, and then Monday morning comes around again and it's just like, mm. And I was very much in that kind of place. And when you are in that kind of place, that damages your confidence, your self-belief, every bit of your life really, it kind of wears away at. And then gradually over the time of doing the course and working with the group, you meet people who are all in the same, starting in the same place as you are, and they've all got these same sort of issues. And then you start to realize, actually, it's not me. This isn't me. This is a system that's broken, and we need to find a way to exist in this system, and bouncing off each other and discussing what's going on, and one of us saying, oh, that happened to me and I did this, or have you tried doing this, along with the guidance that you're giving, really helps to kind of narrow down what's important, what's key there, and let go of all of that peripheral stuff, so that you really do just become this centered being, if you like. And then you can start to rebuild and put in place those blocks that are going to help you move forward. And that, I think we're at the stage now where we're building these blocks, and looking at what the future is going to bring, and how we can best use this knowledge that we're getting to achieve those goals and stay aligned to our values, and that. So I suppose that's a very convoluted answer, but basically it's got me from going to being a bit more in control.
Exactly, yeah. Because here's the thing, we are taught in a way that we're not supposed to care about money because we're
Mm,
women. I don't know why, but this is how we think. But we care about the job and the colleagues and everything. But I always say you can do both. You
yeah,
can have the job you want and the money that you deserve as well, because then you are working aligned to your values.
yeah, yeah,
Like the
yeah.
best fit.
Yeah, and you're not when you go into that a job, we're kind of taught, you're female, so you're nurturing, so you're the mother figure or whatever. But when you're doing that to 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds when they're first coming into the workplace, they're not, and they shouldn't be kind of conditioned or even groomed, if you want to use a word that adequately describes it, to be the person that picks up after everybody else, and does everything in the office and then switches off the light and volunteers to empty the bins on their way out. We shouldn't be that person. And I think that it's so ingrained until it's not. And it's that switch, and then suddenly you think, hang on a minute, no, you're not getting free overtime out of me. I'm going into a job and I'm like, well, I will switch my phone off at 7 o'clock at night, and that's it. It won't be on until the following morning. If there's an absolute dire emergency where somebody is actually going to die, you can ring me on my private phone, but aside from that, don't do it. And it's very I don't liberating is perhaps the word. It setting boundaries and having the conviction to be able to set those boundaries really makes your life so much more pleasant. It really does. You don't have to be doing things with your family or canoeing up the Amazon or anything like that in your spare time. Just knowing you have that time to do whatever you want to do, I think it does help you to get through the more stressful aspects of your job, because every job's stressful. Even dream jobs, the specials, are stressful. So
Yep. Yeah. And are you willing to share here what your most shamelessly high goal is? That's
oh, absolutely. I am my shamelessly high goal is I'm going to have £1 million worth of disposable income in my bank account. It'll be a very secure bank account for anybody that's a bit scammy out there. But yeah, I mean, it's just my view is to have, disposable income, that I can do good things with, and it is my ambition to be able to do some nice things for the community that I live in. And so, without sort of going into too much detail, that's my sort of ambition. I want to end my professional career with the ability to do some really nice stuff for people who are around me, the community that I exist in and am part of. So
yeah.
that's my goal.
I love it. I love it. And so somebody else called it in the same group. She called it the "fuck you fund," right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. I think you need to be. My mother had it years and years ago. She said to me when I was very young. She said, need to make sure for the rest of your life you can buy your own knickers. And that sounds hilarious, but what she was saying was really valid. If you have to go to somebody else for the basics of your life, then you have no control really over what you, and that's never a good position for you to be in. And yes, sometimes you can have a career, you can be married, you can be a housewife, but you still should have that ability to say, do you know what, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that, without somebody else having a say in the fact that you need to go out and buy something that's necessary for you to live comfortably. So
Yeah, I love that saying actually. I never heard it before, but I think it's brilliant because it really, in essence, says the transitions that we as women are in. We are going from the one who's always dependent on
mm-hmm.
others of our basic needs to the one who decides what our needs are,
Yeah,
how we're going to fulfill them,
yeah,
and what money that we're going to fulfill them. And it's our choice, our decision.
yeah, absolutely.
Love the fact that we're in the midst of it. I'm so lucky, or I think we're all very lucky that we're not born 100 years ago.
Mm,
But really
mm.
now. Now, according to all statistics, it's still 100 years from now until all salaries will be equal.
Uh-huh.
But I'm determined that that's going to happen while we're still alive. So it's one of my drivers. My drivers is, of course, to make sure that everybody feels extremely confident and trust
Mm-hmm.
their own values, that they can demand more money,
I
that they
think
can go
it's
for.
so it is so liberating, but also I've overused that word, but I am really thrilled that the company that I currently work for are actually, in terms of salaries paid to women, that we're actually ahead of the men. It is in negative. I don't know what they call it, but the women that are in the firm, there are earn more than there are men that do that, and I think that's quite an achievement. They're very, very proud of it, and I keep saying to them, I'm not quite sure that you should be going out there and yelling about this quite quite in that way, but it's great. And these women aren't being paid more because they're women, they're being paid more because they're damn good at what they do. So that's
Yeah, and while we're in transition, this can be advertised everywhere, but it should actually be quite
yeah,
normal.
yeah,
Whether men or women, just the best people should be paid the best. And currently,
absolutely, absolutely.
we're in that transition. Now, I know out of experience, if you're feeling you're in a bad place, for instance, in your work or your career, in your job, and you're dragging your feet on Monday morning to go to work, it's actually quite hard to make a decision on how to get out of it, how to
mm,
get
mm,
out of it. You get like addicted to the pain. It sounds really weird, but this is how it is, we tell ourselves. How did you
yeah.
manage to get out of that? How did you make?
Well, you see, I think that sometimes people get trapped in bad situations for all sorts of reasons. But a big reason why people get trapped in bad jobs is financial. They have mortgages to pay, they have lives to live, and saying to yourself, right, I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to find something I love, that I want to do. it's a woolly idea in their head because the job is really stressful. They worry about, money and all of that sort of business. And B is a fear. What if it's not there? Do I jump, now? And what do I want to do? So can I find that to jump to it? And our minds are all over the place all the time. We're always, we might be working on some really technical document, and then every 30 seconds or so we'll think, oh yeah, I've got to add toilet roll to the shopping list for tonight, or oh, I need to speak to so and so about whatever. We're doing these things all the time, and actually, when you're at work, you're not going to be sitting there thinking, oh, I need to really plan for my next job. And when you get home, you're probably quite tired, and to do that work of working out what that move should be, it is quite difficult. We don't actually have the tools to we're not taught how to think about, well, actually, what drives me, what is my core value, what job is going to fit into that. And if you can't do the foundational work, it's really difficult to see how you can make that jump. So I think it's fear, and it's a lack of the tools, and probably confidence. If you're really unhappy in work, the chances are you're anxious, your confidence may be slightly eroded, and you may just not know which direction to go in. So I think there's a combination of things, but I think it's very common.
It is extremely common. And would you have any advice for them on how to jump out of that? What
Well,
steps?
other than sign up for one of your courses, which I highly suggest, it really, you need to sit down and think, in a quiet room, sit down and think about what makes you happy, what really makes your heart sing. Try and picture yourself in 5 or 10 years' time in a place that you would be really happy. And one of your exercises, look back and tell yourself how you got there. I think it's really about getting to understand yourself, as in that little wee small voice in the middle of you that gets drowned out by life and everything that's going on around you. I think that's working that out so that you can move forward. Understanding that means you're going to make better choices. But if you don't understand that, your choices are never going to be fully informed. So, it's going to be pot luck. You might be so lucky and end up working in an elephant house at Twycross Zoo or wherever, and just fall in love with an elephant and spend your life feeding it and looking after it. And then that may be fabulous. But you could just as easily end up as a salary slave in a company that has got great PR, but when you get through the door, you're chained, metaphorically chained to a desk and have no breathing space. It's really difficult.
Yeah, and I this is what I think is the most important thing, is that we are so used that if you have a broken arm or you feel sick, you go to the doctor. But when you're job sick, so to speak, we tend to stick in it, almost stay in it. And unless it's in the elephant house taking care of the elephant you're in love with,
yeah,
it's
that humour thing.
So yeah, and I agree with you. It's stepping out, looking into. I love the fact that you said about looking back on how you got there, but also looking forward and dream about where you're going to be in 5 years.
Yeah.
And dream yourself higher, way higher than that you're used to, because that's where you're going to go to then. That's most important.
I think so.
So, Anne, I want to thank you for this lovely, lovely interview. I think everybody who listens now get a bit more clear on what you get in my world from. Is there anything you want to add to that, or?
I think I've already made it. I think it's been such a worthwhile use of my time. Time is so valuable, and it is the one resource we never get back. We use it and it's gone. And I've done many things in my life, but this is definitely one that has been worth the time that's been spent on it, and it really has helped me tremendously to function in my world. which is as crazy as you'd think it was, and to follow my goals. So I think it's been so worthwhile. I cannot, I honestly cannot thank you enough for the positive influence that you have created in my life, because it's genuine, and really heartfelt. So yeah, I think if you are able to do it, and you really are interested in finding out more about yourself and what your goals are and how to get there, you need to sign up for Elsa's course.
Thank you so much. It's really lovely talking to you now, and I'm looking forward to our next group call.
Absolutely, me too.
Yeah.
Okay.